Hello and welcome once again to the Talk of the Terrace podcast with me, your host, Mike McPhail, and my, as always, ever-present friend and co-host, Harvey Carter Hill. Harvey, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's I played a game of football at the weekend with the restrictions lifted.
Yeah.
I still hurt now, which is that's always good, isn't it? It's a good sign. But I'm good, mate. How have you been?
I don't know how to answer that because obviously,
Okay.
as you can see, I'm still wearing my Chelsea shirt. I can't not wear a Chelsea shirt. I'm a Chelsea boy, but it's been a depressing weekend. The fact that we played West Brom the early kickoff on Saturday, it ruined my whole weekend, ruined my whole Easter weekend, 5-2 loss. So I've decided, obviously we're playing Crystal Palace this upcoming weekend. So I've gone with a Chelsea Palace t-shirt. Can't lose, can I? Can't lose.
No, that is true.
Can't
That
lose.
is true.
But no, we've got a good episode today, I think. And got a good episode.
Yeah.
And we've got some news, obviously. We've partnered up with a... Yeah. Go on, Harv. What are you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, it's been a bit like we've been told before that we're like mates chatting in a pub, and we haven't been able to offer the pub part, which is a decent beer. And that's about to change, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We can officially tell you, if you have seen us on Twitter, we've partnered with the team over at beer52.com. And if you're watching the YouTube, here's what the case looks like that you get sent for free. I got sent mine for free. It's a Beer 52 case. You get 8 draft beers handpicked by their experts. I'm currently trying one now. It's called the White Hag Irish Brewing Company. It's a Phantom Hazy IPA. It's not my normal type of beer, but for me, it's all right. It's not bad, it's not bad. I don't mind it, but yeah, beer52.com/terrace talk is our special code. You'll see it in the comments down below on any podcasting platform you're listening to, or the YouTube description, whatever you're watching or listening to us on, it'll be down there. Use that code, join the 170,000 all members that are already part of the Beer 52 club. And if you don't like dark beers like myself and you prefer a light option, you can choose a light option to be sent to you. And yeah, $5.95 it costs for the case to be sent to you. It's an incredible offer, I think. $5.95 for 8 free beers. You get a snack as well. You get a magazine, which tells you all about the beers. I've got the magazine downstairs, which is quite interesting. The snack I didn't really get to try. I got sent some pretzels, which my missus enjoyed. So yeah, it was good. But I've still got a few more beers left. Not scratchings for me this time. Got a few more beers. There's some interesting ones like this. Look at this. Hell's. That looks decent. I'm saving that one.
That looks good.
I'm saving that one. I might need that for the weekend when we potentially lose to Crystal Palace. But yeah, that's it. Go to beer52.com/terrace talk to get your free case of beers. All you need to do is cover the postage and packaging, and you can cancel or pause your subscription at any time. So, Harv.
Oh, that's a good offer.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, I mean, you have just mentioned Chelsea, so we'll go with the main topic of being underrated and overrated, mainly players. We've got underrated and overrated players. I've got a couple of past players in there, as well as some obviously ever-present players. I believe Mikey has done a lot of bashing of certain clubs. I'd be interested to see whether any of those players. I've bashed a certain team a little bit, but I've got 2 players in my underrated for that team.
Who's that team you've been bashing? Liverpool?
Yeah, Liverpool. Don't get me wrong, Salah hasn't quite made my overrated page, but he's not far off.
No way. I mean, we're talking about good. Underrated, and obviously I've changed setting. I've now longer not got anything behind me. I'm quickly going to show the people who are watching on YouTube this beautiful piece of memorabilia. Look at that. John Terry, probably the world's best defender, right?
Yeah,
one of the best. Yeah, he was one of the best.
We've been talking about overrated.
Solid. But as you can see there, the number 6 is the number John Terry wore for England. He wore 26 for Chelsea. This is a match-worn Premier League t-shirt as well, or jersey. He signed the number 6, and we actually bought it at an auction. My dad did. And Peter Osgood was one that was selling it, and we got Peter Osgood to sign the number 2. So there you go. Peter Osgood, John Terry, signed shirt. Recently got it from my mum and dad's house. I love it. So it's going to be behind me. But yeah, one of the most underrated defenders of all time, potentially. I don't know. But anyway, Harv, we'll let you start. We'll let you start because I'm sure there'll be many people being like, "Oh, Mike just talks about Chelsea," and that's what I do. I'm a Chelsea fan, but we'll see who you've brought first. What are you going to go for, an overrated or an underrated player first?
Choices. I'm going underrated. I've got two Liverpool players in a little list I've got here. One I'll go into a bit more depth about, but an honourable mention here. And at the moment, he's had a bit of a dodgy season. Jordan Henderson. I do think he's quite underrated, to be honest. I don't think people appreciate him as much as they should. And I think when you talk about Jordan Henderson being underrated, people don't give him the credit he deserves. I think he's not getting the credit he sort of deserves, a bit like Michael Carrick didn't get at Man United. Yeah. I'd love to hear United's fans on the Michael Carrick underrated. You always hear them say, "Oh, he was brilliant." Ferguson in 2014 did say Michael Carrick was the best English midfielder. When you've got arguably the greatest boss of all time calling it, he's got to have some weight behind it, I suppose. But yeah, what honourable mention there, Jordan Henderson. Obviously, he had a bit of an injury-prone season this season, but when he's been back, he's had to fill in all over the place, hasn't he? He's done whatever his club needs him to do. He was a replacement for arguably that team's best ever player in Steven Gerrard.
Yep.
There was a few eyebrows raised saying, when he was 22, 23, when he joined, he was so young. People saying, is this really the kid that we're replacing the great Steven Gerrard with? He's gone on and done something Stevie never did, which is won a Premier League. He's won a Champions League. He's won League Cups and stuff like that with Liverpool. I think he is quite underrated. I think he hasn't had maybe the praise that he should have done. He wasn't your Steven Gerrard type player where he would charge around, do what, drag his club, essentially, drag his team and his teammates for a goal. He's not going to go and get you that goal, but he'll cover someone who can go and do that.
Yeah.
He would sit there, wouldn't he? He would complement Gerrard. If Gerrard and Henderson played in the prime, that'd be a scary partnership, I think, because he'd sit there, he'd cover Gerrard and let him run all over the place, but do such a hell of a job. But
well, Henderson's definitely one of the main factors in the emergence of Trent and Robertson.
Yes,
the fact that they get to go forward so much, I think that's down to the likes of Henderson, who's definitely a world-class captain in my opinion, and I'm
brilliant captain.
Pretty sure he should be the England captain over the likes of Harry Kane. I can't see that captain side of Kane. He carries a team with his ability, but I just don't. I've never been someone that thinks a striker should be captain either. I think it should be a central midfielder or central defender. So
I wouldn't like to argue with Duncan Ferguson over that one, but others maybe. True. Yeah, others maybe. I think there's some very rare cases
like
Thierry
Francesco Totti as well. Totti for Roma.
Totti. Henry for Arsenal obviously he was quite vocal for a striker, and Duncan Ferguson. I think he wore.
But I just think if you have them centre backs and centre mids, they're in that position where you can talk to the whole team. Strikers can't shout at the keeper and stuff, So.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think it's got to be a midfielder or a defender, unless you are someone outstanding. I think that's how it should be. But Jamie Carragher, massively underrated in my opinion. Hated watching him. Hated it. If it was a corner to an opposition, I've never seen someone. I don't think I manhandle my wife like this. It was all over like the big strike. He picked the threat, and he'd just go and he'd hold him. He'd just hold him. He'd hold the shirt. He'd talk to him. It's that old, the attacker would back into him. Heel studs on your toes. We all know how to do it on Sunday League. It happens in the Prem. He's there. He'll let it happen. He's talking to him. He's pulling shirts to the wrong side of the ref. He's talking to him. Do you know what I mean? Everything about him was just annoying. He's the sort of guy you want on your team, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's the sort of presence you want. You hated playing against him. I think he was criminally underrated.
Yeah.
He only 508 appearances for Liverpool, which during that time, he started around sort of 96-ish, 97, where he started to become a real regular. He only made 38 England appearances, which I believe if Ferdinand or Terry wasn't about, he would have been the other guy. That's
Do you reckon?
that's.
Because Sol Campbell was about around the same time, and I think Sol Campbell was rated higher
I'd,
than him by people.
yeah, I'd still pick Carragher over
Yeah,
Sol
yeah,
Campbell as
I
well.
agree.
And I know
I agree.
Sol Campbell was an invincible. Like obviously
Obviously,
that's how good he
Jamie
was.
Carragher did spend time at right back as well, didn't he? So don't know
Yeah,
how with that pace.
yeah. Well, Gary Neville was there for a long time.
True.
But yeah, Carragher, I think he was massively underrated. 580 appearances for Liverpool. He won Player of the Season twice, once in '99. Now I'm just going to list a few players here from some of our older listeners. Right, David James was in goal. I mean, I never really rated David James, but a lot of people said he was quality back then. I don't remember him much.
Only thing I remember about David James is somehow he had an afro one week, then he had cornrows the next week, and then he'd be back to an afro, but it was blue.
Yeah.
He'd be changing his hair every other week. He's like Pogba nowadays.
Yeah, and he played up top for Man City at one point.
True.
Rigobert Song, that's a big name for some older listeners. Now, Steve McManaman, he went and played for Real Madrid. Won the Champions League. He
Not
was
exactly a great commentator though, so stick to football, Steve.
It's debatable, yeah. Now, one of probably natural finishes here, Robbie Fowler.
Yeah.
Unreal, just natural talent in the box when he was brilliant. Michael Owen won a Ballon d'Or. Jamie Redknapp before his injuries, who was some player. We're then talking, this is a classic old school, Patrick Berger. I forgot he was still there at that time. Paul Ince, he's been around, had an outstanding career.
Yeah, solid
Gerrard
career.
was there at the time, probably wasn't as, he was probably wearing the number 17 at that point. Maybe not the dominant force we know him as. And then Dominic Matteo as well, he was outstanding at centre-back. So I think that, to win a Player of the Season award with those sort of players around,
obviously
that's impressive.
He would have been quite young then, wouldn't he?
He would have been, yeah. He was, I mean, I think he must have only been 23-ish around that time, his emergence. He'd only been on the stage for a couple of years. And then he won it when Liverpool won the Champions League in 2005. And obviously we all know about that team.
Solid,
I think that,
solid final, probably one of the best finals to watch. If you're not a football fan and you go and watch that whole final, it's just interesting, I bet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that is literally a tale of two halves, wasn't it? But yeah, that 2005 team was obviously really good, and he won it then. He's won 2 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Community Shields, the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, and 2 UEFA Super Cups.
Only missing the Premier League.
That's
the only issue with the likes of Gerrard and Carragher missing that Premier League, isn't they, to get everything near enough?
Yeah, I still think he was criminally underrated. I thought he was brilliant.
Definitely.
He'd bleed for your club, wouldn't he? If you wanted someone to sort of organise your back line, everything, talk, he was captain for a while as well, wouldn't he?
It's interesting considering he was a Evertonian growing up.
Everton fan. He used to turn up to Liverpool's trials and in his Everton kit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he used to cover up his Everton shirt with a Liverpool training top, but he still had Everton shorts on. He spoke about, which is really interesting.
Yes, that is mental, isn't it? But if you were to offer me Virgil van Dijk or Jamie Carragher, I would pick Jamie Carragher.
Yeah,
as well. I think he was that good. Yeah, wow. So underrated. You don't sort of play 508 appearances at that time when he played, when he was like we've spoke about it before. The quality of players about then,
yeah, definitely,
as well as winning that Champions League.
Well, that's when you had Alan Shearer in his prime, the all-time Premier League top goal scorer. So
yeah, Thierry Henry giving your man John Terry nightmares. Do you know what I mean? Like there was some quality.
Well, there was a few times you see there's a clip of Henry running past Carragher when Carragher got asked to play right back. If you've seen that, they mention that on Sky Sports all the time when they're both commentating.
They like that one.
That's comical.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he was brilliant. And I know that I will bash Liverpool a little bit, but yeah, 2 of your guys on there. And Carragher, I think for me, if Terry or Ferdinand wasn't about the same time, he for me would have been the other guy in there. I think that's how good he was.
Yeah,
probably doesn't quite get the credit he deserves. But
I agree. Solid player.
Solid, really good player. Yeah. You must have a couple or one biggie.
I've got. Overrated, I've got a couple with quite a few stats, and underrated the same. I've got a lot of honourable mentions for each subject. I'll maybe mention them at the end, but I'll start off with me Chelsea player in the underrated section, me current Chelsea player in the underrated section.
Underrated?
Yeah, definitely. I just think this guy, I still don't think he gets the credit he deserves, especially from Chelsea fans, you know. He's a World Cup winner. He's won 4 FA Cups. He's won a Europa League. He's won 3 of the Community Shields, which isn't that great. He won the Liga 1 in 11-12 with Montpellier.
I think I might have this player as well.
Like he won the Liga 1, top goal scorer as well in the Liga 1 2011-2012. Obviously, he's been the top goal scorer in the Europa League when Chelsea won it. He was a top goal scorer in the Ligue 2 as well when he was down there. He's just, you know,
just before you say his name, Mike.
Yeah.
If you was to watch a goal compilation, would you think he was the best player that ever played?
Yeah. If people watch a goal compilation of this guy, especially that scorpion kick, that outside of the left foot from outside the box for France, if you watch Olivier Giroud goal compilations, they're just incredible. And the guy's just handsome as well, isn't he? You can't.
That's why it's an underwear model, mate.
No, exactly. Olivier Giroud, I think, is just criminally underrated by a lot of people in our day and age, especially Chelsea fans. I don't think we understand how good he is. He dragged us to the Europa League when we won it. You know, I definitely think he was the key factor in us winning that Europa League a few seasons ago. But he's won the World Cup. Obviously, he didn't score a goal in that 2018 World Cup, but he didn't need to. He was so vital in releasing the likes of Kylian Mbappe. He was just incredible at holding the ball up and being in the right places. I don't even think he had a shot on target, you know, as well. Which
Deschamps did mention that, though, didn't he? He did say if it wasn't for Giroud, the rest of the play around it wouldn't have happened.
Well, that's it. If you swap Giroud for Karim Benzema, they have to change their complete style of play because they're different players. Karim Benzema is more of a goal scorer. And this just proves my fact that you don't need to be a top goal scorer to be a really good striker. I mean, Giroud, he just holds up the ball so well. And like I said, he won that Ligue 1 in 11-12 with Montpellier when PSG they still had some money back then. I think don't know who they had in 11 and 12. You know, it could have been when they had the likes of Robinho and that. I'm not sure. Did they have Robinho or was that was Man City? But they had some.
No, that was Man City.
They went on but that was just before. And he came from Ligue 2 after getting the top goal scorer in 2009, 2010, and then he went on to get top goal scorer in 11-12. He went to Arsenal, had a pretty sick career at Arsenal, you know. He won 3 of his 4 FA Cups there, which was solid. Arsenal, they're not going to do a Premier League in the last 10 years, so FA Cup's probably the best they can do, and the fact that he was part of 3 of them teams is pretty incredible. He obviously won 1 with Chelsea, he lost the final last year against Arsenal with Chelsea, but he's won a World Cup, like I said, and you just don't win a World Cup. Well, I say that. I've got an overrated player who's won a World Cup from that same France team, and he is overrated.
What, you slugging off N'Golo Conte? Oh, mate, that's...
Who knows? Might be. But, yeah, Olivier Giroud, he's just underrated. You know, maybe he's a bit too old now, but, like, I think during his prime and even now, actually, he can still bang in goals. You know, if he's starting for a top 6 team, you're getting goals and he's getting assists and you've got someone to play off. You know, when we had Willian and Pedro Hazard, when Giroud was in the middle, you saw the best of Hazard. He was just, Hazard would take a pass it to Giroud. He'd get it back. Giroud doesn't mess up. Giroud's passing and just one-touch passing is sublime, you know, just to play it through. He plays it into the right spot every time for a player, you know. And like we said, his goals, when you cross the ball in, he scores diving headers, little flicks at the near post, you know, them little deft touches he gets. Scorpion kick. That scorpion kick for Arsenal is one of the best goals I've ever seen, you know. He's involved.
Oh, it's incredible, wasn't it?
The ball gets played from the defensive line of Arsenal straight to Olivier Giroud, who's on the halfway line. He does he like flicks it in between his legs. The ball comes to him. He flicks it in between his legs to a player and then runs into the box, comes in. But scorpion kick, top corner. It got the push.
Running was probably over-exaggerated there. Running was probably over-exaggerated there. It was more of a quick job.
Was running.
I don't think he could sprint, could he?
Yeah, but the fact that he was slow helped him in that instance because he only managed to get to the edge of the box while the other Arsenal players were at the byline. So it helped him, but he didn't need pace. You know, there's another player I've got on my underrated list, which is an honourable mention that I'll say now. He never had pace. He's the top World Cup scorer of all time. Germany never lost a game with him in his team. I think, what is it? Yes. They played 41 games with him, or every time he scored, in a Germany game, 41 different games, I believe. 8 of them were draws, the rest were wins. And that's Miroslav Klose, you know. Criminally underrated.
Yeah, he was
got the most goals in World Cup history, 16 goals in all the World Cups that he's played in, which is just amazing.
That's
And
incredible.
the fact that he
How many
beats
did he
people,
play in? Did he play in
I
4?
think he played in 4, but he only really played in 3, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he
But
came
like,
on the 4th one just to get the total, didn't he?
yeah,
I believe.
well, yeah, saying
Well,
that.
not
But
just to get the
he's
total,
won the
but
World
do you know
Cup.
what I mean?
You know, he's criminally underrated himself. But he's my first underrated player, Giroud. But the next one is going to be the one where I proper dive in deep and tilt, because this player has been criminally underrated since he started his career when he was like 20 in 2010. So I'll jump onto him next. But let's hear an overrated one from you, Harv, shall we?
Overrated. I've got a one again. United fans, Martial. I mean, he's got come in for 35 million. He was young. You give him a season or two, don't you? He wasn't quite the finished product. I don't think he's anywhere near the finished product now as well. But there's a clause in his contract where if he wins the Ballon d'Or, Monaco gets some more money. That's never going to happen. United, he's going to finish the season this season with 4 goals. How can you play as he's a forward player? All right, I know he doesn't play straight down the middle all the time. He can play off the left or the right, but you got to be expecting 10 goals, 5 assists from that sort of average player, aren't you? Surely,
In the Premier League alone.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's the same discussion we have all the time about Timo Werner. Timo Werner doesn't always play straight down the middle for Chelsea, but he's got 14 goals and assists in the Premier League this season, which is, I still think, is decent in your first season. When you're comparing him to the likes of Martial, like we are now, Werner looks really good. And even if you compare him to the likes of Sadio Mane, Timo Werner's got better goals and assists this season than Sadio Mane, and people still say he's not doing it. He's not doing as good as he can. He has a few misses, like that North Macedonia one. But we'll
like the honorary passport they gave him for that. But yeah. Martial, I think is a mention there for overrated. But what is it? A lack of confidence? Is it? He's obviously had the opportunities to play, hasn't he? He's been given plenty of opportunities. I think might have been Andy Cole on a radio show mentioning about how is he not scoring more? He needs to be putting himself about, get in the box, just get on the end of things, just put yourself in the right place. And I don't think he's been doing that. He hasn't been getting himself in the right positions, making it easy for himself. Just, you want a top striker, a quality top striker. They're going to get 5 tap-ins a season, aren't they? That's what they do. That's how they should think.
That's it. And like say, being in the right position is a part of being a top striker. And Timo Werner's got the positioning part, but he hasn't quite got the finishing part yet, which is people who can give me. As a Chelsea fan, people out there calling Timo Werner crap. At least he gets in the positions to look bad.
Yeah, that is true. He's great up until the finish, and then it's downhill from there. But I do reckon it will come. It will come. He had one outstanding season last season. The ones before were gradually building up. I don't think he's overrated, or I don't think he's underrated at the moment. I know a lot of players sometimes have a season, but I do think you compare him to you're buying him off last season, aren't you? Mm-hmm. You look at a player like that, you bought him off last season, you're expecting at least the same return, maybe slightly less while he gets accustomed to it.
He's coming across to a more competitive, the best league in the world, from a German league where they're probably the second best team, and they're the first best team of all the German teams apart from Bayern Munich. You take Bayern Munich away, and RB Leipzig were probably one of the best teams.
It's them or Dortmund, isn't it? One of them.
That's it. Whereas here, who knows? Teams like West Brom can beat, I don't know, Chelsea. And not just by 1 or 2, 5-2 at home.
Oh dear. But yeah, I think that's one. And I've got another. It's out there, this shout, and again, I think if you could stick a few underrated players in my list into this position, I still think this team does very well, and that's Xavi at Barcelona. I didn't understand he was obviously great. I'll give him that. It was obviously brilliant, but was he brilliant because Iniesta was sat next to him and he had Messi in his team? Sergio Busquets sort of.
I was going to say, you're missing Sergio Busquets there. I think Sergio Busquets is criminally underrated. He's in my honourable mentions. I think you're mentioning Xavi, and everyone always spoke about Xavi and Iniesta. Xavi just done the passing, Iniesta done all the beautiful things. Iniesta potentially overrated by some people. He didn't have the assists amount that people would expect him. But Sergio Busquets, for me, I could take Iniesta, Xavi, or Busquets in their prime, I think Busquets was one of the best players in the world, especially in his position, and I think he's criminally underrated. I'd still take Iniesta because he's just phenomenal, but I think Busquets ahead of Xavi for me.
Yeah, I just didn't like I mentioned before about Michael Carrick being slightly underrated. United fans obviously crying about how people didn't rate him. I reckon if you stuck a Michael Carrick into that Xavi role, I still think exactly the same happens.
Yeah,
where they go out and dominate in that team for a couple of years, didn't they? They won everything. I have got in the overrated section, I have actually put Pep's Barca. I thought it was boring.
Really? Yeah, you do
hate it. I really hate it.
Quite a bit.
It just didn't. It just wasn't entertaining. I appreciate all that they won, and individually those stars were amazing.
Other than Xavi, apparently.
Again, well, but like if you took him out of a team, just like if you could watch him for half an hour on a pitch with just a ball at his feet, you'd be amazed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he'd be able to do. But I just think, like, obviously people, like you said, were, Xavi and Iniesta, but then totally just ignored Busquets.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. But
he's the person that gave the freedom to Xavi and Iniesta.
Yeah, that Pep's Barca team for me was like people who were like, oh, it's the greatest footballing club side I've ever seen, but it's boring. I hated it. Really did. I know I've said it before, but it was just such a snore fest. I don't know how people watched it. I remember watching the final between United and them, and like you could see the United players were just like, "What are they doing? What are we doing here? They're just passing the ball about. It's boring. It wasn't football for me. That was a training session and a warm up. You know what I mean? I just didn't get it. I don't like tiki-taka style of football. I really don't. I think that's overrated. Again, you see Arteta was the understudy to the main man himself who brought it on, and look where it's got him.
Yeah.
And the only reason Guardiola's any good at it is because he had a higher defence budget than some countries last season or 2 seasons.
And not just that, he does go to the top team in each country.
Yeah.
Over Barca when they had Messi. So
yeah. And then you go to Bayern Munich, who they just dominate that German league, and then he goes to Man City and they've got all the money in the world.
They've not only got all the money in the world, he took over Man City at the time when Man United don't have Fergie anymore, so they're a non-existent club for the next few years. They were, they didn't really challenge. They didn't know where to go. Arsenal are no longer a threat. Chelsea are bouncing around managers. Did we bring Mourinho back for a bit? We got a title, Conte, but there's no other consistent challenger every year for Man City.
But when you've got a higher when you've got a higher defence budget than some countries around the world, I mean, what does that suggest that sort of style of play, as good as it may be now, I think he's focused more on going forward with it now than just keeping the ball and boring people.
Yeah.
I think he may have fallen asleep at some point, but now he's going forward and he's got likes of Phil Foden on the ball wanting to go forward, and he had David Silva before.
And Raheem.
You've got pace going forward and players wanting to get on the ball in the final third and make stuff happen, and a bit more creativity. It's not as bad. I still find it quite hard to watch at times because I just want to be entertained, and I don't think there's a lack of now like flair players in terms of giving the ball and he'll take 2 men on.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you take 1 man on now? If you take a player on in Pep's formation and the way he wants to play, every player needs to stick to their position while they're defending. You take 1 player on now and there's a whole load of space. You've got 10 yards, a massive 10-yard circle around you.
Yeah.
After you've just beaten your man, you pull 1 person out and then everyone's out. And I know everyone wants to play differently. You've got to play different. You've got to try different things, but I just don't get it. I don't get the excitement around it. You see a lot of teams, England FA have brought it into their way of playing. They want players that can pass.
Starting with the 4-3-3 and stuff from the
We're missing players. Yeah, we've now cut out a midfield general. we've now cut out a technical dribbler as well.
Yeah.
Two key areas that England have always had. We've always had a warrior, a battler, and we've always had someone that can take someone on. We've had Gascoigne, we've had Joey Cole. We've had a lot of players that, given the ball, he'll beat a man or two, and then he'll play a decent pass or set someone up, score a goal himself. The only person I can think of now who may potentially do that is Raheem Sterling. I can't. Rashford, I don't think his final touch product, his end product is there.
Yeah.
He might be able to take a man or two on, but then it's, what am I doing now? Am I crossing? Am I passing? Am I shooting? I don't think he's quite got it. I think he might do in a couple of years. But that's it. We haven't got anything else. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
I think that's an
moving swiftly on from your overrated Barcelona team. I'll jump on the Man United bandwagon of overrated players. You mentioned Anthony Martial. I'm going to go for his French compatriot who left the club for free to go to Juventus all them years ago, only to be bought back for a world record fee. I'm going for Paul Pogba. The guy's overrated. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how much you rate Paul Pogba. He is overrated. Criminally overrated, Yeah, he's got a World Cup. Well done. You've got a World Cup. You didn't do anything in that World Cup, to be honest. Take Paul Pogba out of that World Cup team. They can put any one of their many midfielders in. He's got a few Serie A titles. Yeah, it's easy to win the Serie A. If you're at Juventus, back in the mid 2010s, anyone can win the Serie A. They had no competition. You just look at it. Obviously won the Europa League with Man U, which isn't too bad, but they just don't do anything in the Champions League now, and he doesn't help. You look at his stats this season, Paul Pogba, since Bruno Fernandes has come in, 20 games in the Premier League, 3 goals, 2 assists.
Okay, yeah, that's not great.
What's that all about?
Where's he been playing? Has he been playing further back? Fernandes has been going forward, hasn't he?
Either way, his defensive contributions are poor as well. His defensive
he doesn't look
contributions are very poor as well. He's just a lazy footballer. He's got all the talent. I'm not saying he's untalented. I'm just saying he's overrated. Same as another one of the players I've got him here overrated that I've got a little bit on. And I think we both agree on this player. We've spoke about him before. Neymar. He's a bit. He's got all the talent, but he's a bit overrated, isn't he, Neymar? He was classed to be one of the top 3 players in the world, but I don't think he ever has been. I don't think he's ever been behind Messi and Ronaldo. I think when he was at Barcelona, it was Suarez. Now it's Lewandowski. That's Lua 32, Ronaldo 36, Messi 33. Neymar's 29. He's getting old. These 3 are all still outshining him by a lot. And then you've got the likes of Haaland and Mbappe that are outshining him. But back to Pogba, this season, 20 games, 3 goals, 2 assists in the Premier League is poor. Last season, 2019-20, all competitions, including the Premier League, the Europa League, whatever, 1 goal and 4 assists last season.
That's bad.
The first season he joined Man United, we're talking about players joining the clubs and like Timo Werner, and they're not quite doing it. He played 51 games in all competitions in 2016-17 when he first joined United for this big record fee when he just came off the back of his time at Juventus. 9 goals, 6 assists. And I don't even want to think of how many of them 9 goals were penalties, because obviously he was a penalty taker before Bruno Fernandes came in. So it's like...
Yeah, that is true.
He hasn't had a great time at Man United. And then when you actually look at his overall Juventus career, he scored some worldies. You say about Giroud scoring worldies. Yeah. Pogba, in the Italian league, teams sit so far back and are slow paced. The likes of Andrea Pirlo in his 30s didn't have any pace. Pirlo's world class, but like he looked even better when he was 35 odd because
in
teams just sit off in a slow league.
Yeah.
So that
the
makes
defensive
Pogba
formations, aren't they?
That's it. So that makes Pogba look even better. 166 games he played for Juventus. Yeah.
Yeah.
He scored 32 goals and got 27 assists, which isn't bad. It's not terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
But the way people talk about Paul Pogba, you're expecting at least 100 goal involvements in them 166 games in all competitions. I just don't see what people see in Paul Pogba.
You'd want something in every other game.
Manchester United have looked better this season since Fergie left, and it's because Paul Pogba doesn't play every minute of every game. Their 3 midfielders are Fred, McTominay, two players that are better than Paul Pogba right now in that position, in that 8 or the holding position.
Obviously,
and Bruno Fernandes. It's just like
Fernandes has been quality.
Pogba just doesn't get in that team.
Who you put in? I mean, you spoke about McTominay, and I like that he's come through the youth team. I'd keep him in that team. I quite like him. Fernandes is obviously irreplaceable.
He's solid.
I don't think there's anyone yet. Fred's poor. I think we could all agree. He's
poor, but he's still better than Pogba at what he does. He's okay.
Look at the stats of Fred. Who are you bringing in? Because come on, let's be honest. No one's ever playing Fred.
They've got Van der Beek. They've got Van der Beek, but he's a different player.
What's happened?
They need to buy a holding midfielder, don't they? Or someone that's and McTominay isn't an out-and-out holding midfielder, but if you're buying an out-and-out holding midfielder, they need to go out and buy someone, don't they? Obviously, like you've got that Camavinga lad. There's a young Camavinga lad. He looks solid.
17, the next Patrick Vieira, they've called him. That's one hell of a tag to live up to.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they do.
17 years old. But who would you buy though? Who would you buy?
Who can they buy? Because they need to sell Pogba. They can't have him standing around in these wages. Who's going to buy Pogba?
Okay, Pogba goes
where to?
Let's say cut price to 60 million. Who's
going to pay 60 million for Pogba? Why would they want him?
Madrid want him.
Yeah, but
Madrid
they
don't. They always want him.
No, they don't need him. They can go out and get better players in midfield. Yeah, they don't need him. It's like all this.
Okay, let's just say he goes for 50 million. Let's say he goes for 50 million.
But I don't see who does he go
hypothetically, who are you placing? Who are you buying in to put in there instead of Fred? Who are you putting in there instead of Fred? You're sitting McTominay with someone else.
You go and get
Bruno Fernandes.
Go get yourself like a Calvin Phillips or someone from in the lower.
You go and buy Calvin Phillips and replace Calvin Phillips with Fred.
I'm not saying.
I was surprised you didn't say Declan Rice, but come on, who would you buy?
I want to say Declan Rice, but I don't think he goes to Man United. I think he'll come to Chelsea. I honestly think we'll.
Okay, but this was a hypothetical.
Hypothetically, you go and get Declan Rice, 100%. Declan Rice, yeah. Who else can you get?
You'd play him.
Declan Rice. Is a better fit for Man United than Paul Pogba.
Rabiot at Juve, I think.
Rabiot, maybe, yeah.
He can do everything, I think.
He can. He's obviously a bit. Bit of a bad attitude. A lot of stories.
But I think Solskjaer might sort that out though. Potential for that to be sorted out. But yeah, okay. I like the Declan Rice shout.
Yeah, but Pogba, I just think he's a bit overrated. Very overrated. Some other honourable mentions. I'm going to mention my other honourable mentions for both of these categories. Before, have you got any more under or overrated players you want to talk about in depth?
It was just the Neymar for overrated. I mean, in his home World Cup, you're talking about one of the biggest footballing nations in the world, produced some of the best players. The players. When I say that we're lacking dribblers and the entertainment side of football, I'm talking Ronaldinho, the Ronaldo, Kaká. Just wow, they got you off your seat, didn't they? They were brilliant. Even Robinho.
Oh yeah, Robinho when he was on his day
at Santos, and oh god, it was just great to watch. He lost 7-1 at his own World Cup.
Yeah, to Germany. Obviously, they were the eventual winners, but
Germany are obviously outstanding. But you don't go and lose 7-1.
No. I don't actually think Neymar played in that game, though, did he? To be honest,
I don't. Did he not?
No, I don't. Oh, I'm pretty certain that 7-1 loss.
Oh,
he didn't play. He got injured. Wouldn't have made a difference. All I remember was David Luiz crying at the end of the game.
Yeah, yes.
Probably the only player on that Brazil team that day that actually looked like he wanted to play football as well, because he gave it all. That was one of the days where
he did.
David Luiz was like proper trying his best as well. His best isn't good enough though.
Two La Ligas, and he was at that. How long was he at Barca for? 3 years?
Yeah.
4. So that doesn't look too bad. He won 3 Copa del Rey. He's won 1 Champions League, which may I just add is the same as Stephen Finnan, and also.
Jose Pasingua.
Yeah. Carragher's got the same amount as well.
Ryan Bertrand.
He's won 3 Liga Uns, Liga Ones, whatever you want to call them. And I thoroughly believe that I could sit behind Mbappe and play through balls and win that league.
Well,
with that team.
You say that. I mean, any manager goes to the Liga Un and you'd expect them to win the league, right? This season. Old fraud Pochettino, all these Spurs fans saying, yeah, he's solid. He just didn't have the right team. Is that PSG? And they're not going to win the league, mate.
Does he go in your overrated category?
Yeah, I think so. I think Poch is overrated. Definitely. Yeah, I think he's an overrated manager. He's a good manager. He's a good mid-table manager. Go back to Southampton. That's where you belong. Or Spurs. They're a mid-table team. You know.
So again, that's another.
I just don't think.
Another
I think Poch is a bit. I think
that's another tick attacker, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
I think he's just a bit overrated.
About.
People say he hasn't had the right team up until now. That Spurs team wasn't the best, but he got the best out of that Spurs team. But I think that Spurs team could have done better. They should have won the league when Leicester won it.
That Spurs team was probably the best Spurs when Dele Alli was in form.
But not just that. Not just that. Now, Jose Mourinho has Spurs scoring more goals than Poch ever did. And talking about overrated players, Dele Alli's in there for me as well. Dele Alli's in the honourable mentions for overrated players.
Maybe on the past 2 seasons, but that the first season he was at Spurs, he was
solid. He was unbelievable.
And I still think people
overrated him. He won't get close to this England.
Off the first season.
Yeah, I think people still.
The first season was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable, yes. He was outdoing himself, goals and assists wise. Yeah, he was doing good, but that was never sustainable, and that just proves it. Like, you've got to sustain that. Harry Kane, when people said
true.
He was world class when he first got like goals, it's like, yeah, maybe you're overrating him a bit, but over time, Harry Kane steadied out and shown you that he is world class. You know, he can do it on a consistent basis. There's a reason Dele Alli is not going to get close to this England 2021 Euro squad. Even if he played every game this season for Spurs, he won't get near it. You know, the likes of Mason Mount and Grealish, Barkley, Lingard, Maddison. Bellingham, Foden. He's not even in the top 10 near enough. English midfielders.
I get that one.
Overall midfielders with Henderson and Rice in there. I don't think Dele Alli's got a chance, you know, and that's including Jesse Lingard.
I mean, I took the most midfielders in our last pod, and he was nowhere near.
Dele Alli didn't even get close to yours. You know what I mean?
He was, no.
You know what I mean? But in my honourable mentions of overrated, with the likes of, you know, Dele Alli, you've got Harry Maguire in there. I think Harry Maguire is a bit overrated. He's a solid defender, but he's not as good as England fans say he is, and Man U fans especially.
I can't remember. Someone made a comment, and I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. When he first turned up, I think it might have been how long has he been at United? 3 seasons now.
I'm not sure, but Leicester are better without him.
True. I agree with that. Someone made the comment, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Curtis Woodhouse. He could be a potential guest on this at some point as well.
That'd be solid.
Should be unbelievable.
Yep.
He said if you go and look in the average non-league, you'll see 100 Harry Maguires.
Yeah.
I think that's
an amazing statement, and I agree.
That is brilliant. And
players that I've also got in the overrated though, honourable mentions are the likes of Ozil. I think Ozil was solid at times, but for Arsenal, just specifically at Arsenal, he was overrated. I don't think he could cut it in the Premier League. I think it was too fast-paced and the way he played. But he's not an overrated player. He's a solid player, but in the Premier League alone.
You know what? I've actually got him as an underrated.
Really? Underrated before Arsenal, underrated. But as soon as
Madrid
don't
Arsenal, like players, though, do they? No. Let's be honest.
One of the biggest overrated players, though, of the past, however long for me, is Jack Wilshere. I think Jack Wilshere, he hit a peak when he was 18. He was at this, you know, he was at a certain level at 18 years old. Then he got to 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, whatever. And he's stayed there, if not gone down. He didn't progress. And I just think he's criminally overrated.
How do you progress from dominating Barcelona at the age of 19? Did
you continue doing that? After that, including the injuries, he just didn't do anything. He done nothing. He went to West Ham. He's a free agent now, right? He don't play for anyone.
He was training at Bournemouth. I don't even know if they've given him 29.
Why would they give him a contract?
I kind of agree, but the first 3 years he was on the show, he was
all right, but he was never as good as the likes of the players we've got now. If you compare him to the likes of Foden, Grealish, and Mount, all 3 of them are better than whatever Wilshere was or will be. All 3 of them have a higher ceiling than Wilshere ever had, in my opinion.
Yeah, true, but none of them have dominated a Barca game in an average Arsenal team.
When's the last time any of them played Barca?
Or a team of Barca's quality at that point? Exactly.
None of them have really played Barca yet.
Yeah, no, or a quality team at that point.
None of them have really played a quality. I mean, Mason Mount controlled the game against Atletico Madrid twice.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I get that. But
and
he wasn't a teenager, was he? He's in his 20s.
Yeah, but that's just one game. You can do it for one game, but he didn't do anything after that.
Okay.
I mean, underrated players as well. I've got the likes of...
the best club team, people say, just saying.
Underrated players, obviously, I've got the likes of Mason Mount, and Claude Makelele was criminally underrated, you know. I think
Yeah, he
people
doesn't get
don't
there.
understand. But like James Milner and Gareth Barry, two players that
Hate Gareth Barry.
titles.
Hate him.
You hate him, but he's underrated. He's still underrated. One
I
title
just
for Man
don't
City in
get.
that.
I don't get the appeal of Gareth Barry. I don't understand.
I don't understand the appeal of him, and I don't understand the way he was, but I still think he was pretty underrated, and James Milner especially underrated. But
Yeah,
James
Milner's
I've got
underrated.
one more underrated player for you, which I've got stats on before we move into the score predictor. Yeah,
I've got a couple more underrated as well that I just want to get in there.
Okay, then you chuck yours out, and then I'll give you my in-depth one because we're going on quite a bit here. I enjoy this.
Okay, yeah, true. I think Dennis Bergkamp was criminally underrated. I've called him the top 3 best Dutch players to ever come out of Holland, and I think he was so underrated. He was the number 10 before the number 10 was the real thing. I believe he was that link-up play. He was brilliant, eyes in the back of his head. And this is a big one. West Ham fans, Mark Noble. I just always been there for that team, that club. Bit of a club legend. He hasn't had an England cap, and I think that's disappointing for me because there was a point where it was around 26, 27, and maybe a bit older than maybe 29. But I thought we've just moved on from Gerrard and all that sort of thing.
Lampard.
Yeah, Lampard and all that. And I just think, why is he not getting a game? He thought he was criminally underrated. All right, he dropped down with them into the Championship, but Gigi Buffon went down to the 3rd Italian league and came back up with them.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the Buffon one's different. Buffon didn't earn relegation. They got relegated because of the scandal.
Yeah, that's true. But when Leeds went down with that team, everyone just jumped ship. And do you know what I mean? Like Gigi Buffon didn't jump ship. Mark Noble never jumped ship, got him back up. I just think he was criminally underrated as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Mark Noble was in a relegation team. Buffon wasn't.
Yeah, still. He's been close though, Buffon, hasn't he? That Juventus team before was pretty close. But yeah, I do think Mark Noble was quite underrated. Past 5 years, I think he's been good, and he's been in his 30s.
The thing is, he stopped the likes of Declan Rice showing how good he is. Like Declan Rice said this season, he's been able to show how good he is because he's got the freedom to do what he's doing because he's not covering all the time for the likes of Mark Noble.
Now his legs have gone, but I think when he was in his prime, I think he was criminally underrated. But yeah, go on then. You got a biggie.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
This is, in my opinion, one of, if not the most underrated player of my generation. Someone that I love. I absolutely love this player. Not a Chelsea player, by the way, but he's absolutely criminally underrated. At 20 years old, he got the World Cup Golden Boot.
Okay.
In 2010. Yeah, World Cup Golden Boot. He got 5 goals, 3 assists in that 2010 World Cup. They didn't even win the tournament. And I actually thought, I think, I can't remember what site I used, but I put a bet on him to become the all-time top scorer for the World Cup before he retired. I thought he'd get about 17, 18 goals, this guy. But yeah, obviously, top scorer. He's had the top scorer a few times in his league. He's had it in the Champions League, I think. But he's played a total of 100 games for Germany, scoring 38 goals, which is pretty decent considering no one knows his position. He's played 571 games for his Bayern Munich. You know who I'm talking about.
Bayern
Munich, 571
Lucas
games.
Podolski.
What? 212 goals, 211 assists to date, which is a total of 423 goal involvements in 571 games. A lot of them as subs or being subbed off. It's Thomas Muller. I think he's the most underrated player I've seen in my lifetime. From the 2000s onwards, I just think he's criminally underrated. We'll start off when he was 20 years old in 2010-11, when he managed to get 5 goals and 3 assists in his first World Cup and get the Golden Boot.
I remember that. People didn't even know who he was, did they?
The guy's
sort of a nobody.
12 games, 12 goals, 13 assists in his first season as a 20-year-old, or first real season as a 20-year-old playing 34 games. That's 25 goal involvements in the league, 34 games. And then he continues impressive. That. He gets over 20 goal involvements every season. You get to the 2014-15 season, 32 games, 13 goals, 14 assists. 15-16 season, 31 games, 20 goals, 7 assists. That's his best goal output, I believe. You know, and then last season was absolutely incredible assist-wise. You know, he got 8 goals, 21 assists in 33 games. But
That's
overall,
impressive.
in all
He can sort of play anywhere, though, can't
exactly,
he?
in all competitions last season, 14 goals, 26 assists. That's 40 goal involvements in the 50 games he played across the DFB Pokal, the Champions League, the Bundesliga, and obviously this season so far, he's played 25 league games, 10 goals, 15 assists.
I mean, he is feeding Lewandowski, but
I know,
yeah,
but he wasn't back
impressive.
in 2010, and I know Bayern Munich was solid. But this season, 25 games, 10 goals, 15 assists, and everyone's talking about how Lewandowski, as you say, is having the season as his life, and he deserves a Ballon d'Or. Muller deserves a lot more credit. 9 Bundesligas, 6 DFB Pokals, a World Cup, 2 Champions League,
he's also great.
A 3rd one this season.
Off the pitch as well, though, he brings so much entertainment. When he was in the airport and he had his passport,
as a phone, and
he was like that. It won't bother him.
There's also one where I think it's something to do with a league of their own or Jack Whitehall. Jack Whitehall goes to see a few of the boys from Bayern Munich. Obviously, Götze's playing there at the time, or he's just left to go back to Dortmund. And he's gone to see Götze, and he's like, "What do you do on your days off from football?" And he's like, "I'll show you." Götze takes him to the Borussia Dortmund under-13 team, and he just plays and shows the under-13s how to play football. So he's committed to football. Jerome Boateng, he's like, "What do you do, Jerome?" And Jerome's like, "Oh yeah, follow me." He's got his own studio to record tracks and raps. And he's like, "So Thomas, what do you do?" And Thomas Muller's like, "Well, it's my day off. I'm going to have a day off." So he goes to the pub and he gets 6 steins of beer and he's there with his cousins and they're all drinking and he gets absolutely plastered. Then the next day he goes to Bayern Munich training because he's German. That's what he does. He's a legend. Thomas Muller is the most underrated footballer of my generation, in my opinion. And I love Thomas Muller.
I've got one more underrated player, but he's also in my Who versus Who, so I'm not going to mention him.
Okay, we'll keep him for that.
When it comes to the Who versus Who,
you're doing the Who versus Who this week, obviously.
Yes, yeah. Are we? Is it Score Predictor right now?
It's Score Predictor time, mate. So I've changed to the Score Predictor, and last week was a good week for me. Chelsea lost, but scores-wise, I got 6 points. You got 3. A few of your road shouts didn't pan out, my friend. They did not pan out.
It would have been different if Wolves hadn't scored that second goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We would have been nearly equal. I would have still been on 6 because I had West Ham to win. You'd be on 5.
I'd have got 5, but overall scores would have been the same.
Overall scores-wise would be the same, but it's 26-24 to myself as we enter the next game week. We'll try and smash through this because we have talked quite a bit about our over and underrated players, don't you think? So we'll start off on Friday. Fulham against Wolves. I've gone for a 2-1 Wolves win here, Harv. What are you saying?
Ooh,
I've gone for a 2-1 Fulham. You've gone for a 2-1 home win to Fulham. This is going to be a good game then. Because
it's relegation time now, mate. You've got to,
that's it.
Be in it.
With them 2 goals against West Ham, though, West Ham have been solid. I think Wolves have got a chance to get a couple against a Fulham side that they need to attack a bit more now. Next up, though, Saturday morning, Man City are at home to Leeds.
Yeah, 4-1 City.
4-1 City. I've gone for a 3-0 City. I think Leeds don't score. I was going to go for more. I was going to go for 5-6 maybe to City. So you heard it here first. I was thinking
we could see a 7-6, I think. We could see a 7-6.
This could be it. This could be it. But you've gone for a 4-1 City, yeah?
Yeah. Liverpool, Villa, I've gone for 3-2 Liverpool. I think Villa needs to show a bit more attack in the tent. And I think why not start at Liverpool with barely any good
So you've gone for a 3-2 to Liverpool. Obviously, it was 7-2 earlier in the season when Villa beat Liverpool at their home ground. But I've gone for a 2-0 Liverpool win. I can't see Villa scoring. I don't know why. I think Liverpool need to tighten up. They're going to have a game. Obviously, they've got Real Madrid tonight. Big game tonight against Real Madrid. That's
Varane's
obviously
out. Big news.
Exactly. If you guys haven't heard the podcast from last week, who you think me and Harvey are going to win the Champions League, who we think is going to win the Champions League, go check it out. We've got different winners. I think
that changes my, my input from last week as well.
It doesn't change your final though, does it?
No, I don't think so. No.
But
Palace, Chelsea. I mean, you're wearing both shirts.
I'm wearing both shirts. I'm ready for whatever the outcome is. I'm a winner right now. I've got the Palace Chelsea shirt on, but we need a big result. I've gone for 3-1 Chelsea. We need a win. That was just a blip. That West Brom game, that is just a freak result. What have you gone for, Harv? You've gone for a Palace win, didn't you?
No, I wanted to, but I've gone same as you, mate. 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I hope it happens. If it doesn't happen, there's no podcast. If we lose to Porto and Crystal Palace this week, I'm not appearing on the podcast anymore. I'm done.
I'll be doing it on my own next week.
There'll be a lot of fans. Next up, we've got the Ball Fest. There's always a Ball Fest every week. It's Burnley against Newcastle. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
This is my big Ball Fest of 2-2.
Oh, you put 2-2. It's a bit better than mine. You know, there's goals in yours. I was going to go 0-0, but I've gone 1-1. I think Tottenham managed to scrape 2 goals against Tottenham. So they could be able to get a goal against Burnley. And Burnley have never got more than a goal in them for me, although this weekend was different. We've got West Ham against Leicester next. This is a big game. This is a big top 4 game, this.
I didn't like calling this, but I've gone 3-1 West Ham.
3-1 West Ham. Ooh. I've gone 2-1.
I mean, it's bagged...
I've got a 2-2 draw here. I reckon this is
a tough one.
Tight. This is tight. We're getting into the
tight.
Season now. This is another big game, obviously. Last time they played, it was 6-1 to the home team. Well, this week's home team, it was 6-1 to Spurs against Man United. But that just proves that any crap team like West Brom and Spurs can beat top quality teams like Chelsea and Man U. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really matter. So, what you got for this Spurs at home to Man U?
Sorry, Spurs fans. We do enough. Well, I don't do enough Spurs smashing because I don't think you're that bad. But I've gone 2-1 Man United. I've proper piled on the misery for Spurs fans.
Okay. I don't like Spurs. Absolutely hate Spurs. But I've gone for a 2-1 Spurs win at home against Jose Mourinho's former team. I reckon they can beat Man United. I reckon they can beat Manchester United. They need to do something. They've had a run of poor results. You know, Man United obviously have the Champions League on Thursday, something Spurs got knocked out by a solo player called Orsic from Croatia. They lost to one player, you know? What's that all about? Next up, though, the last game of Sunday. The last game on Sunday, Sheffield United at home to Arsenal. I've gone for a 4-0 Arsenal win. I think they're going to get a big result here against already relegated Sheffield United, basically.
I've only gone 2-1. I've only gone 2-1 to
Arsenal. I think Arsenal need to go out, bang some goals in, and I think they'll do
it. Do you reckon this could be one of those where the team's relegated and they just turn up for the last hour of the games of the season?
Not this one. I don't. Maybe West Brom, but West Brom they've got Samuel Aladice, so
I told you, mate, he's one to watch.
You never know with Aladice. You never know. And moving on to that, we've got West Brom against Southampton coming off the back of that huge scalp victory. I'm going for a 2-1 West Brom win.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've gone 2-0 Southampton. I reckon this will be... Go
back to last week's podcast. If this was a game, I'd be going 2-0 Southampton. But I've gone for a 2-1 West Brom win. I think West Brom are going to carry on that form from smashing the potential Champions League winners Chelsea 5-2. Next up, we've got the final game of this game week. We've got a lot of different results here, Harv. This could really sway.
Could be big.
And this could be...
Someone could take a 10-point lead.
You know, on Monday, when we're looking at this last game, we could see who's going to go top of the leaderboard. It's Brighton at home to Everton. Who have you gone for, Harv?
I've gone 3-1 Everton.
Okay.
I feel bad. I like Graham Potter. But, yeah, Everton, I think they'll start hitting some form back end of the season. They'll want that Champions League spot.
2-1 against Crystal Palace at the weekend. I've gone for a 2-0 Everton win, I think.
2-0.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an Everton win. I think they need to pick up some form again. And I think a 2-0 win away to Brighton is a fair result, and how they're going to do it. But there's some big results in there, Harv. Obviously, you haven't really pushed the boat like you did last week, which doesn't benefit me.
There's always a week where like a load of just random results come in. And I just thought it might have been last week, but it wasn't.
You was close. You was close. If you had just gambled on West Brom rather than Man U losing, then maybe.
Yeah.
I would have called you stupid on the podcast, but you would have been subsequently right. Next up, though, you've brought a who versus who for me, right?
Yeah. Now, there's going to be some... I think this might cause a bit of debate.
We love a bit of debate.
We do. We've got one... Well, yeah, just 2 unbelievable players. Unbelievable players. So I'll go through one's resume. He's had 504 appearances for this club, scoring 120 goals. He's had 114 caps for his national team. He's won 2 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 1 Community Shield. He's won 1 Champions League, 1 UEFA Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup. He's been this team's player of the season 4 times.
Wow.
And now this is impressive, I must say. 8 PFA Prem Team of the Years. That is man number 1.
Well, considering Aguero's only had 1 PFA Player of the Season or PFA Team of the Season, so I know it's not him, but I'm struggling to think who that could be. 114 games for his nation. Who's that?
Do you want to know before I start?
Yeah. Tell me that one.
Or do you want to get? Do you want to get one guess? Go on, just have a guess.
I can't guess. 8.
He was.
What position is he?
Oh,
he's a midfielder, right? Centre mid, yeah.
Yes, centre mid. He was a one-man club, and then he went and tried the cheeseburger over the pond.
It's not Frank Lampard, is it?
No. I said he was a one-man club. Frank Lampard was not a one-man club.
Yeah, true.
He started at West Ham.
Oh, is it Steven Gerrard then? No?
Yeah.
It's Steven Gerrard?
Yeah.
I should have known that when he didn't mention a Premier League title.
Oh, yeah. It could have been Jamie.
I mean, we've already done... Yeah, carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on. Considering the first week we done this, we done Gerrard versus Lampard, and we both chose Lampard. I'm hoping this person's not as good as Frank.
Well, do you know what? I think this guy... I didn't mention him in my underrated list.
Yeah.
But wow, is this guy underrated for me?
Okay.
He's played well. He's a record appearance holder for his national team. He's won 2 La Ligas, 1 Copa del Rey, 4 Champions Leagues, 3 FIFA Club World Cups in a row.
Yeah.
Which
Same
might
with the
give
Champions
that away.
League. He won
Which
3
might
Champions
give that
Leagues in a
away.
row, right?
Yeah. He's a World Cup runner-up.
Yep.
With an average, maybe higher than average nation.
Well, considering one of their players absolutely dominated Tottenham in the Europa League.
He has been. Now, this I do find impressive in the era that he played in La Liga. La Liga's best midfielder twice.
Yep.
Twice in that. He's won Spurs Player of the Season once, and he's added something which Gerrard definitely doesn't have one. He's won a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. Undeservedly so, I believe, as well, in my opinion. I don't think that Ballon d'Or should have gone to the man, Luka Modric, that you're talking about. And talking about Spurs Player of the Season, that's not exactly an award that is hard to get. So
no, but let me tell you, to win 2 La Liga best midfielders in an era of Iniesta, Xavi Busquets, and
considering
and
when he first joined Real Madrid, he was torrid. He didn't have a good start, and they called him the worst signing of Real Madrid.
Worst signing ever.
History. And then Hazard came along.
Whip that title right off him. But didn't he win? I really like.
You say about 3 Champions Leagues in a row, though, and 3 Club World Cups in a row. The likes of Isco's done that. The likes of Keylor Navas, Mateo Kovacic. He's got 3 Champions League wins in a row.
Granted, but he played. They won the best midfielder. They won the best midfielder in the league.
He's a solid player, and yes, my opinion is he shouldn't have won the Ballon d'Or when he done it. You know, I still think there's better players out there that year than him. The likes of Messi and Ronaldo. I don't see how, if there's anybody going to take the Ballon d'Or away from Messi or Ronaldo during their era of dominance, it had to be Lewandowski. You know, during these times, I think. Yeah,
that season he was pretty impressive. But I still think he was criminally underrated.
Very underrated. I agree. He is underrated, especially
absolutely unbelievable
since he left Spurs. Another player, Spurs fans, for you listening, that is criminally underrated in my underrated section that I forgot to mention is Musa Dembele. We'll quickly talk about that because Spurs fans will want me to. Musa Dembele, and I agree with this. I don't agree with Tottenham fans much. He was criminally underrated, you know. He was absolutely phenomenal at carrying the ball, his strength, his defensiveness, or his defensive awareness, his attacking. Every player that you speak to or every interview watch of any Spurs players or Belgian players that I've ever played with, Dembele, the likes of Hazard and De Bruyne, people like that.
Couldn't get past him, could they?
Sure. Well, they just say, who's the best player in the Belgian squad, who's the best player in the Tottenham squad? Every single one of them, Christian Eriksen, you know, they all say Musa Dembele, but he just couldn't do it on a football pitch. He didn't have consistently.
There was a season where he nearly went the whole season without being dribbled past, wasn't there?
Well, yeah, I think so, probably.
Like very close, but for a
and
midfielder,
that's in a midfielder,
impressive.
yeah. But like,
it's not like you're a defender and
he's
you've got a keeper behind you.
yeah,
You're in the middle of the park. There's so much
exactly.
space.
It's not like you're Virgil van Dijk and you
impressive.
go undribbled past in a season when there's no dribblers in the Premier League, really.
Yeah, that is true.
But no, like Musa Dembele was criminally underrated, and I think had he been at a top team and been playing consistently, he'd be up there with one of these players, similar to the likes of Modric, maybe. You know, who knows where he could have gone.
Potentially, yeah.
But, yeah, I think out of these two, though, Gerrard and Modric, one's got the trophy cabinet to back up, like to be classed as a world-class player, and one is Steven Gerrard, who just really missed that Premier League title. You know, he really did. You know, he just let that slip, and yeah, I got that in there.
If you're going off resumes.
If you're going off resumes, you go Modric. But if I'm a football manager and I want one of these players to step onto the pitch for me and win me the game, I'd take Steven Gerrard. I think you can't look past that Champions League final in 2005, was it, against AC Milan, where he was a young lad. He was a young lad then, still early 20s, carried that team. And that was against one of the best AC Milan teams in the world. I think Modric is good, but I think if you look at Modric at Tottenham compared to Gerrard at Liverpool, he wasn't as good. But now you put Modric in a team of Galacticos, you know, Modric to win them 3 Champions League titles is solid. But you had Ronaldo, you know, you had Cristiano Ronaldo, you had some incredible players, Bale in his prime, you know. But I think out of these two players, I've got to go for the Englishman in Steven Gerrard. You know, I picked Lampard over Gerrard, but that's because they're both different players. These two are probably more similar players in how they play. You know, I bet if you look at them both, they both have similar goals and assists records.
I don't think it's not too far.
But I think
Modric's goals aren't as good as Gerrard's. But
yeah, but I definitely think, in my opinion, Gerrard edges this one. What about yourself, Harv?
Yeah, he's just sort of a one-man wrecking ball, isn't he, Gerrard? He is
put
great.
Put Gerrard in that Real Madrid team that won 3 Champions League titles. They could go on to get a 4th. You know, I think Gerrard in his prime is better than Modric in his prime.
Okay, you've got Gerrard going forward all the time. What are you missing? That Modric can, you know, he just keeps everything ticking all the time. Yeah, no, but
you take away Modric and replace him with Gerrard, you still got Toni Kroos.
Okay, I see what
Toni Kroos, potentially is better than Modric in some people's eyes. You know, that it's like, who's more important? I think Modric is top class, and I think it's a good who versus who. It's tough, you know, it is tough, and either answer is a good answer.
Again, it's unfair because it's Modric in it, but go on.
Gerrard never played in a team as big as that Real Madrid team that Modric has played in. Liverpool have never had world class in every position since Gerrard's been there. It's always been Gerrard and then either Xabi Alonso, or Torres or Suarez. You know, they've always had a few missing links over the past 15 years. Whereas Real Madrid
I wouldn't have said Real Madrid's fullbacks are that great.
Marcelo was one of the best fullbacks in the world at the time. They won 3
Champions Leagues.
Ramos was the best. Yeah, but Ramos was the best centre-back in the world. The time they won them 3 centre-backs, Pepe was up there. So it doesn't matter if their right-back was trash, because they still had the likes of Gareth Bale and Ronaldo and Benzema. Who's underrated as well, you know, some world-class players. They had 5-6 world-class, solid, top of their position players in that Real Madrid team. Liverpool have only ever had Gerrard plus maybe 1 in that Liverpool team at any time, maybe. Yeah, plus 1 or 2, top of their position, maybe, or top 3 of their position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Gerrard, top 3 midfielders in his position. It's like,
you know, I do think that I don't know, you put Modric in Gerrard's Liverpool team that should have won the league, and I think they win the league.
No, I don't think they win the league.
No?
I don't think it's just one player that can win that.
Don't think Modric slips, that is for sure.
He didn't slip, but either way, they still wouldn't have won other games during the season that Gerrard scored goals in. And, you know, we say that about the slip, but the only reason they got to that point where Gerrard slipped was because of Gerrard himself. So he didn't let the team down, he let himself down. It was only him that he could let down, because the team let him down, in my opinion. Gerrard was world class. And I don't like to admit that. But he was.
I agree, though. Gerrard for me over Modric. But I do think again, I didn't speak about Modric and underrated because I had him in this, but
and rightly
wow,
so.
is he underrated? Brilliant player. Just everything keeps ticking. He can dribble with the ball. He can make things happen. I do think he's criminally underrated, especially at Madrid, in a team full of, like you say, superstars. I think this man gets overlooked quite a lot. But yeah, that's the Who versus Who this week. Fun fact time.
Yeah,
I've got quite a good one. I don't know about you.
I've got a decent one. I'll quickly chuck one out there that I kind of half mentioned earlier, though, about Miroslav Klose. This isn't the one that I'm going with, but obviously Germany have never lost a game in which Miroslav Klose has scored. 41 of them wins, 8 of them are draws. So that's 49 games he's scored in. He has 16 goals across 4 World Cups and is the tournament's top scorer, which I just think Miroslav Klose world class at times. I think he was criminally underrated, like I said. But yeah, did you say you want to do your fact first?
I can do. Just more of a funny fact, really.
Go on then.
So many people might know Karen Brady on the board at West Ham, but while she was a director at Birmingham City, Karen Brady sold her husband Paul Pescasolido at the time to Stoke for £400,000. I don't know if they're still together. I know that could have been some. You get home from work that day and it's like, oh, how was your day? I think you know how my day was, darling. You sold me. I've got to move to Stoke. That kind of been a great dinner conversation. But I do, that is my fun fact.
If you want to have a year like apart, maybe that's probably a good way to do it on Karen's part. I'll just send it to Stoke.
Send him to Stoke, don't worry. Oh, 400 grand. Yeah, that'll go back pocket.
I don't know. I've got many facts written down. There is a bunch, but there's some interesting ones. I'll go for one that I think is a bit funny because it's a bit random and it's like, what? I've got a few more that I want to just say them all, but like in 1997, former Arsenal, Benfica and Fiorentina Swedish midfielder, he joined Sunderland from Valencia, right? And there was an interesting clause in the contract for the player, Stefan Schwarz, his name was, he played for all them clubs. But Stefan Schwarz, he left Valencia and he went to Sunderland. And there was a clause in his contract which forbid him from any space travel. He couldn't travel in space. He couldn't go on a rocket ship. He couldn't go to the moon, whatever. Because previously, while he was at Valencia, just months before he actually transferred to Sunderland, he signed up to a commercial space flight program, which were hoping to send people into space commercially within the next 2 to 5 years. And he signed up and he was a front runner for it. So while at Sunderland, had that come to fruition, which it didn't, he would have been one of the front runners or one of the people to be on that one of the first commercial flights to space. He signed up to it, the Swedish midfielder. And Sunderland obviously knew about this. And when he signed for them, they put a clause in his contract saying that if they did offer him a space on that commercial flight, he couldn't go. So
wow,
that's a proper out there. States. That's proper out there, that one. But that's going to be the end of this week's podcast, obviously, Harv.
Yes,
it was a good one. People that are listening, get in contact, follow the Twitter at Terrace Talk Pod. Go check out some polls we're going to do. We're going to put this week's Who versus Who, Modric versus Gerrard on there. Why don't you vote? Comment down below who you think and why. Also, don't forget, join beer52.com/Terrace Talk. That's beer52.com/Terrace Talk. Help out the podcast. Get your beer. It's good stuff. I enjoy it. Harvey, you're getting some hopefully shortly as well, which would be decent.
That'll be good.
But thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.